Chapter 5. Bye-bye, Sue. Jimmy asked me to come down to see his new place. I convinced Dad to take me on Saturday afternoon. The downside was we had to bring Fudge and Tootsie with us because Mom was at work. She says her new job with Dr. Julie is the best she's ever had. As soon as we were through the turnstile at the subway station, a train came along. We got lucky and found seats together. Sometimes the subway cars are so crowded you have to stand squeezed between strangers, like sardines in a can, as Grandma would say. Personally, I hate the idea of being compared to a sardine. The smell reminds me of cat food, even though Grandma says sardines are good for your bones. Probably cat food is too. It wasn't until we got off the subway at Spring Street that I noticed Fudge was wearing just one shoe. On his other foot he had on only his yellow and black striped bumblebee sock. "Where's your shoe?" I asked him. "What shoe?" "The one that's not on your foot." "Oh, that shoe." Dad said, "Put on your other shoe, Fudge." "I can't." "Why not?" Dad asked. "I took it off to itch my foot, and now it's gone." "Gone?" Dad said. "Yes," Fudge said. "That was one of your new shoes," Dad told him. "I know, Dad, and now you've lost it." "I didn't lose it. I know where it is. It's on the subway." "The subway?" Dad said. "Yes," Fudge said. I should have convinced Dad to let me take the subway to Jimmy's on my own. There's no such thing as a simple trip downtown with my brother. He turns everything into a major production. Dad spotted a transit cop and waved her over, calling, "Excuse me." "Can I help you?" the transit cop asked. "Yes," Dad said. "I'd like to report a missing shoe." She looked surprised. "A missing shoe?" "That's right," Dad told her. "Fudge, show the policewoman your shoe." "How can I show it to her if it's missing?" Fudge asked. "Show her the shoe that's not missing." Dad was definitely losing his patience. "Oh, that shoe." Fudge held up his foot. The transit cop whipped out a small notebook and jotted down all the information. Black with silver trim, child size, lost on the A train on Saturday, September 14th. She looked at Dad. "What time would you say?" "Somewhere between 2 and 2:30 p.m., Dad told her. "Somewhere between 72nd Street and here." When she was done taking notes, she closed her notebook and shoved it into her pocket. "We'll do our best, but I wouldn't count on getting it back." "I have to get it back," Fudge said. "I need it for school." The cop shrugged. "I told Mom I needed 2 pairs, but she wouldn't listen." "I don't blame her," the cop said. "With what shoes cost nowadays?" "I have plenty of money." He pulled a wad of Fudge bucks out of his pocket and waved it around. "You keep those for an emergency," the cop told him. "This is an emergency," Fudge said. "You want my advice? Next time, keep on both your shoes." "Even if my foot itches?" "Especially then," the cop said. "Otherwise, you're going to be kissing more than one shoe goodbye." "Bye-bye, Sue," Tootsie sang, blowing kisses. The transit cop did a double take. "How does she know my name?" "Your name is Shoe?" Fudge asked. "No, it's Sue." No way was I going to tell the cop my sister couldn't pronounce the SH sound. Finally, I got to Jimmy's. The streets in Soho are narrow and paved with cobblestones. It's a really old part of the city. The buildings used to be factories, but now most of them have stores or art galleries on the first floor and lofts upstairs. Dad said he'd be back for me in an hour and a half. I told him to take his time. The Fargo's loft is a huge open space with an old wooden floor and a pressed tin ceiling. Pretty cool, huh? Jimmy asked. You know how many windows we have? 16. Want to count them? I believe you, I said. They were gigantic floor-to-ceiling windows. Know how high the ceiling is? Jimmy asked. He didn't wait for me to guess. 16 feet. Want to measure it yourself? That's okay. I can see it's really high. I looked around. You could set up a bowling alley in here, I told him. Yeah, Jimmy said, or a basketball court. You could blade or flood it and play ice hockey, Jimmy said. Ice hockey? Gotcha, he said, laughing and sticking a finger in my gut. I hate when you do that, I told him. I know, that's why I do it. Come on, I'll show you around. There wasn't much to see. Frank Fargo's canvases were stacked against one wall. There were 2 paint-splattered work tables. Old coffee cans held brushes. It smelled good, like the art room at school. There was no regular furniture, but that was no surprise, since they didn't have any before either. At the opposite end of the loft was a kitchen. There were no doors anywhere except for the bathroom. And right about here, Jimmy said, standing in front of an X that had been chalked on the floor, we're going to build 2 bedrooms, one for me and the other for my dad. And he stopped for a minute to look out the window. Then he looked back at the floor. Oh yeah, and we're adding another bathroom so we don't have to share. I wouldn't mind having a bathroom all to myself instead of sharing with Fudge and Tootsie. At least Fudge uses the toilet. Not that he remembers to flush half the time, but it's better than a potty. Not that Tootsie actually uses her potty for anything except a place to sit. But someday she will. And I'm getting a bunk bed, Jimmy said, so you can stay over. We might get a dog, too. A dog? I was surprised. Mr. Fargo's never really liked Turtle, and Turtle isn't crazy about Mr. Fargo either. What kind of a dog? A Yorkie, I think. A Yorkie? But they're so small. I know. I tried to imagine Jimmy and his father with a Yorkie, but I couldn't. So how about a game of sock hockey, Jimmy asked. Sock hockey's a game we invented. Yeah, sure, I told him, kicking off my shoes. Jimmy passed me a broom, grabbed another for himself, threw down a box of Jell-O for the puck, and the game began. We've never had such a great place to play. You could run and slide from one end of the loft to the other without worrying about knocking over lamps or furniture, not just because there weren't any, but because the place was so big. We were totally into our game when we heard banging on the door. Uh-oh, Jimmy said. He wiped his sweaty face with the bottom of his t-shirt and went to the door. Who is it? He called. This is Gorin, your downstairs neighbor. He spoke slowly in an accent I couldn't place. Don't open it, I whispered. But Gorin is our downstairs neighbor, Jimmy said. I met him this morning. I shook my head. Don't unlock the door. My dad'll be back in a few minutes, Jimmy. Jimmy called out through the locked door. Actually, he had no idea when Frank Fargo would be home. So what's going on? Gorin asked from the other side of the door. All that pounding. It sounds like the ceiling's going to cave in. How am I supposed to concentrate? Sorry, Jimmy said. We were just, moving stuff around, I called, finishing for him. Oh, Gorin said, I thought maybe you were playing sock hockey. Jimmy and I looked at each other. If we invented the game, how could this guy possibly know about it? We'll try to be more careful with our, cartons, Jimmy told him. Fair enough, Gorin said, and I'll try to get back to work. When he was gone, Jimmy let out a whew, and we put away the brooms. By the time we got back from Soho, Mom was home. How was your day? She asked. Very nice, Dad told her. We had a good time, didn't we, boys? I had fun at Jimmy's, I said. And I had fun on the subway, Fudge told her. So did Tootsie. I guess that makes it unanimous, Mom said, because I had a good day at work. Yay, it's unanimous, Fudge sang. That's when Mom looked down and noticed that Fudge was wearing one shoe and one fringed and beaded moccasin. Where did you get that moccasin? She asked. From the store, Fudge said. The man took it out of the window. It was a real bargain, right, Dad? Dad nodded. But where's your other shoe, Fudgy? Mom said. Fudge didn't answer. Dad put his arm around Mom's shoulder. It's a long story, honey. Really long, Fudge added, laughing. The next day, when the transit police still hadn't found the missing shoe, Mom went back to Harry's, this time without Fudge. She bought another pair of shoes, the exact same ones he got the first time, so in case Fudge grows a third foot, he'll be all set. And with my brother, nothing is impossible.